presentation, and this is a really tough act to follow here. My name is Victoria Dolceamore, and I want to share a little bit of information about tied to Brigantine. My mother is from Pennsylvania, but when the coal mines closed down, my grandfather was a coal miner, they came to Brigantine and built most of the homes on the backside where the lighthouse used to be, where the CVS now stands. And some of them have been torn down, but the home she grew up in still stands, and every time we come to Brigantine, my mother wants to drive by that house.
That's cute.
But I'm originally born in Atlantic City Hospital, born and raised there, and my father worked for the gas company, and then eventually got into real estate. So we moved around a little bit. We moved from Atlantic City to Northfield, to Linwood, to Longport, and I attended Tulane University in New Orleans, and I was there for undergrad and graduate, and made my way out west because I wanted to be a film composer, which I did do that for a while. I went to USC for postgraduate work, and that led me to stay in Southern California. I fancied myself as a California girl. I never thought I would come back. But I ended up in higher education. I worked at Pepperdine University for 10 years in the executive MBA program, managing a presidential program, as well as the executive program. And then I went to University of New Haven and did similar, more responsibility at a smaller school, but I ended up coming back to Southern New Jersey because I couldn't think of a better place to raise my 3 children, which I'm doing in Margate. And my children are thriving, they're doing very well. We're very happy here, I have a lot of family here. But what has led me here today, I think is what brought you all here today, which is the current administration, some of the policies that are affecting all of us, no matter what side you're on, Republican, Independent, and Democrat. And I felt that I wanted to do something, and I wanted to support people that were running. But I was invited to consider running myself. I don't have a political background, but one of the deans I worked for worked under Arnold Schwarzenegger. I know it was the Republican side, but Arnold definitely leans more to the way that we were thinking. So that had a great impression upon me, and I did speak with some of my former colleagues about this opportunity. And while I won't have the impact at the state level, I feel that it would be my job to make sure that I can protect the residents of Atlantic County, improve the quality of life. In particular, some major issues that to me are close to heart and personal are the Affordable Care Act, which, as much as people want to deny it, that is going to impact everyone. Our education system, I want to make sure that the teachers are protected and able to function properly in a classroom and teach and not be shrouded by and impeded by some of the actions of our current administration, which are going to affect our state. And we are doing so many things right in the state. We are number 1 in education. We're number 1. Some of the most successful people come out of New Jersey. They're from our public education system, which I am a product of. And that is another reason why I felt that I wanted to run for office. And there's a lot of local issues, and I really do agree with Joanne and Maureen on the fact that yes, casinos have probably brought all of us here. I am a product of that. My father's real estate career excelled in 1978, 79, 80. We were going to move to Arizona because it was going to work. So, we are all products of that in many ways. And so it is, I do want them to pay their fair share. Yes, they should be able to contribute to beautify Atlantic City and to attract. I mean, there's facts that many of you probably all know that when casinos first started, when the gaming industry first started and started thriving in the 80s, the employees had to park out on the expressway. Why? Because Atlantic City was so congested, because there was so many tourists here. It was thriving. And don't quote me on this number, but the casinos in Atlantic City far exceeded the, over 50 casinos, the 13 casinos we had in Las Vegas. So what's going on now? We need to really have people in place that can understand the responsibility that, the economic drivers that we have, not just in Atlantic City, but in the 23 cities in the county, that we need to help manage, and we need to listen, and we need to understand what their concerns are. And not just be, you know, focused on one industry, because healthcare is one of the main economic drivers right now, and it's growing. So what do we need to do to support that? We need to make sure people are educated to understand what those drivers are and what it's going to do for our residents. So those are things that I would like to be a voice for of the people. And the other thing, in terms of my wanting to run, what I observed, as all of us have, is that many, not just county representatives, state representatives, but our federal representatives fall in line with what is coming down from the top. I want to be the voice for the people. And that's what we need. And we need collaboration. And there's too much polarization now, where there's really no understanding of what other people are dealing with in other areas of the state. You know, my father used to say to me, because I lived in California, and is anybody here from California? I'm there. Okay, so I don't want, you know, he'd say, okay, California, because I would come back with, you know, these, you know, ideas about how life was just seemed better in California, more evolved, and not because people were more educated, but, you know, people valued farmers. You know, the farming industry is just, you know, well, I don't know how it's doing now, as we all know it's not doing very well. You know, there were just, and the entertainment business is the biggest export, not of California, of the country, entertainment. So my father would call it the land of the fruits and nuts. Because I came back a vegetarian, no longer do I eat subs. But in all seriousness, you know, I feel that that's the job of the next generation, is to evolve and change and be nimble and be collaborative and have fresh new ideas. And I've been asked several times, you know, why are you doing this? You know, you have 3 children, which I'm raising on my own. You know, you have 3 jobs. This is going to be, you know, complicate things. But, you know, first of all, if you need to get something done, give it to a woman. Okay? But, you know, I assure you, I will adjust my life should I be elected, because I take this very seriously. And my children are fully supporting me, and my parents are as well. And you know, and I'm very grateful for your support. But I want to make sure that we understand, you know, major issue right now, the Dorset Avenue Bridge not functional. It's a major intercoastal waterway. So we've been told, sort of off the cuff, it wasn't out for an RFP, $80 million to fix this bridge. Okay, that's a lot of money. It's going to affect the residents on both sides, but there has been no discussion. Those discussions will take place on the commission, and I want to be the voice to understand, you know, offshore, on the island, what it means to the voters, intercoastal waterway. And again, that's a big part of economic driver. You know, in the summertime, people come from all over to enjoy our shores and waters and the experience of boating. There's, I don't know if you're familiar with a state-run county institution, which is Meadowview. It's a convalescent home. And we all of my running mates here had the pleasure, I have to say it was a great experience to visit with the employees there, the nurses, the practitioners, and the residents. And you know, it's at risk for being taken and privatized. And you know, and some of these things are they're just line items to people. But if you go in there, you see how dedicated these people are. The woman that runs this, she started her career there. She's been there 17 years. She could make more money on the outside, but she's dedicated to that facility. And it's a beautiful facility. It's clean, the people are happy, they're dedicated, they work with the families. And so I want to understand, why are only 80 beds occupied? Why are only 80 beds? Because they are underpaying people. They don't have enough people to take care of the residents. So they're at capacity with the residents they have. And because if you looked at the pay scales of some of our county employees, not just there, but elsewhere, you would be shocked. So I want to make sure that we can look at that and understand how we can support our county employees who are doing good work. And I'm sure there's other areas that we can look at to help fortify that. But these are things that they're just not, you know, cut. What can we do to change that environment? Because we're supporting our veterans. There's a whole wing of veterans who are, you know, otherwise wouldn't have a place to go. Who are happy, by the way. Who are happy and being taken care of. I mean, and the reason why I'm a little bit more vociferous about this, because from the time I was 6 years old to 18 years old, I used to go and play the piano there. my teacher took us there, and I continued that tradition when I taught piano privately in Los Angeles, and I took them to a state-owned, Los Angeles-owned, so this was county-owned institution there in Burbank, and have the students come there and play. And it's just so important to be able to carry that on. So I want to be able to understand, how can we help them? How can we prevent this from closing down? Where are these people going to go? And be creative too. I mean, I am a creative person, yes, as a composer, but I also have business experience. I have an MBA, and it has served me well in having a broad view and strategic view and problem solving skills. I'm sure many of you have had to deal with elders in your family and try to get them into care. And many of the homes that we have waiting lists. So there's no waiting list at the county. So in some fashion, we need to figure out how can we collaborate with them and be able to serve the community. There has to be a financial way, a creative financial way that we could come up with a way to serve the community. Not just the bottom line, right? But also pay our employees. It's a special thing, you can't come out of nursing school and expect that someone's gonna understand how to work in a nursing home. We have to have mentoring and guidance because you need someone seasoned, right? And in any case, and that's what I've learned about the issues there. So that's a major issue. The veterans care, elder care, our teachers, definitely endorse that Avenue Bridge as some of our county roadways. So working with what I would do also, for those of you who don't know, is understanding budgets, working with the ACUA. There's some issues with, I'm sure you know, with Aqua. Some of the residents surrounding that area have trouble selling their homes because of the odor. There's other areas, like Cumberland County, for example, they're fully integrated. They use the energy to fortify the surrounding towns. Why aren't we doing that? So I want to learn more about that and understand how we can be more efficient, right, while improving the quality of life for our surrounding communities. I'll just leave you with one thing. Jerry mentioned my swimming background. This island is very, Absecon Island is very near and dear to my heart. I swam all my life, and I was fortunate to be coached by the Honorable Jim Whalen. And later in life, I was in graduate school in New Orleans, and he called my father and said, I need Victoria to represent Atlantic City. She's gonna swim around the island. And it was like May, and the swim was August 4th or something. I thought, okay, this is something you train, for a year for. But I was young, and naively stupid, optimistic. And so he said, no, you train. He taught me how to train, and I was training in New Orleans at Tulane because I was going to school in the summers. And I swam around the island. I finished, and it was to me at that time, at my young age of 22, I think I was, it became a pathway and for the rest of my life, because finishing that proved to me that you can do anything that you put your mind to, because that swim was not about the physicality. That was about a mental acuity, saying to yourself constantly when your body's giving out, I can do this, I'm gonna finish. Just keep going, just keep swimming. And that's what Jim always told me. Just keep swimming. Don't even think about anything else. I mean, I was, it was very difficult, but I finished. And I did it 2 more times. And I always, someday when I said I have children, I want to do it, I want my children to be at the finish line, and they were a couple years ago. And I said that's what I said to them. I said, this just goes to show you can put your mind to anything and be successful at it. You can just think about it. And that's what that represents to me. And I was a Longport lifeguard, and I also think that's why I'm not afraid to try things. I run to help people, and that's how my parents were. My mother was a nurse in Atlantic City Hospital. She was an RN. And I want to help. And I am very grateful that you're here, and thank you very much for the invitation. Vote on November 4th. Tell all your friends, column B, for all of us here.